The market is absolutely pumping. You got Bitcoin at 28,400. And I guess the big question that everybody's asking right now is this another one of those fake pumps? Is this a real pump? Is it going to continue? That's what everybody's asking right now. And I think that's what today has actually got to be about. We've got to ask ourselves the question whether this is another fake pump or whether this pump is going to continue. And if it is going to continue, when will it stop? And if you want to understand whether this pump is going to continue, you need to understand the pump. In order to respect the pump, you need to understand the pump. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to understand what's happening. Where is this pump coming from? And when we understand the pump, we will understand whether this pump is going to continue or not. So that's what today's about. Let's do it. Hearing sounds from you guys. James. Whoa, so nice to be back. So nice to be back when the bubbles look like this. You got Rune up 12 point. Josh, why does it say Sheldon is live? Ryan is live. So you got Rune up 12.95%. That I've got some Rune in my portfolio, $2.16. You've got Rollbit. Look at Rollbit, 14.4 cents. I did tell you guys the other day to buy Rollbit at, I think it was 12 cents. You got BSV up 17.1%. You got Solana up. You got Render up. We're going to go through all of the altcoins today. What an amazing day when the bubbles are green. So we're gonna go through the pump today. We're gonna start understanding what this pump is actually about. Why is this market going? And I think when you understand this pump, then you'll understand whether or not the pump is going to continue. I think that's what we need to come out of the show today. We need to understand whether this pump is going to continue or not. So listen, if you are new to the channel, quickly, subscribe to the channel. I know we are over 650,000 subscribers. I don't know why you guys are showing the subscriber count for Banter Plus. We'll talk about Banter Plus. The scarecrows are off form today. Can we get the Banter Plus subscriber count off our screen here today, guys? We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. If we get 1,500 likes, if we can get to 1,500 likes by the end of the show, then we'll take a live trade here on the show. I'm going to show you a live trade that I'm actually going to be taking with you guys in the Bitget competition. Because remember now we're in the Bitget competition. I know we've got about 300 people on my team with Annie, but we haven't taken any trades. The competition only started yesterday. Today, if we get to 1,500 likes, then we're going to do a live trade right here, and you're going to see exactly what it is that I'm going to trade. So if you are here, let's get the show on the road. Tell me that you're present. Iris, if you're present, let me know. Ryan John, if you're present, let me know. Moonbird, if you're present, let me know. Kaylin, Luke Sniper, if you're present, let me know. Let's get some energy going up here on a day where the bubbles look like this. Not often we get the bubbles here. Let's just quickly go to the 1 hour. See, on the 1 hour, you can see the momentum is actually continuing. You got Rollbit up 6.2% in the last hour. RPL, Rocket Pool, up 1.58% in the last hour. Solana up another 0.5% in the last hour. We've got to talk about Solana. Is the Solana pump going to continue, or is this another Solana fake out? Because this is actually the highest that Solana has been for a long time. Let's quickly go to the Sol USD chart. Let's see when the last time Sol actually hit these numbers was. I think it was when I was in London for my brother's wedding. So let's just quickly see. Last time Solana, 15th of August, we touched 25. That was when Ripple won the court case. We touched 25.35. Now Solana back at 23.97. Let's talk about whether the Solana pump's going to last. What else is there? What other bubbles are there in the last hour? Let's look at today. All right, we'll talk about all of those. But first of all, let's get the main thing out of the way here. So the main thing, the most important thing about this pump is the following. The most important thing about this pump is that September finished up 4.02%. Let's see if we can make this bigger. So September finished up 4.02%. More importantly, I said it was going to finish in the green when everybody said that it was going to finish down. And the most important thing about that is that I was right and Ben was wrong. So Benjamin Khan was actually wrong. He said Bitcoin was going to go to 23,000 in September. I said absolutely wrong. We're going to have a green September. I don't know if you can cast your minds back to when we started September. Everybody looked at this and said, the average return for September is negative 6%. And if you go to the pre-halving years and you look at September, it's actually a very bad time to get involved in Bitcoin. I said, no. I think September is going to actually disappoint all these bears. And what's going to happen is September is going to end up, because for me, that was the path of Max Payne. While everybody was expecting the market to go down in September, that is how the markets are designed. The markets are designed to melt your face. So the problem is that when everybody is thinking that the markets are going to go down, that is when the market actually shocks you. And I remember all the bears coming out with their narratives about why September will close the market down. And I turned around and I said, no, guys, September is actually going to close up. And I think that's a very, very, very important lesson. Specifically, when you're looking at an asset class that you're positive about. So when we look at Bitcoin and crypto, we're positive about it. Otherwise, I don't think that we'd be here. We're positive about the technology. And if you're looking at an asset class where you're positive about the impact that the technology is going to make, the better risk return trade is to be bullish and to be slightly wrong. Because if you're bullish and you're slightly wrong, then, okay, you may buy early, but net, you will continue to make money on the way up. And this is something that I wanted to show you guys. So if you look at this cumulative returns by 𝗕𝗵𝗵𝗕𝗏 of all asset classes, and you look at Bitcoin's cumulative return since 2011, this is the asset class that you're actually dealing with. This is what numbers is it? 8.9 million% return since 2011. When you're dealing with that kind of asset class, and I'm using Bitcoin, but you can apply this to all asset classes. Rather be slightly wrong and be bullish than be slightly wrong and be bearish. Because if you're bullish and the market doesn't run in September, but runs in October, what do you care? Well, okay, you've missed it by a month. You hold your position a little bit longer, but ultimately you know that the number is actually going to go up. The problem is that if you're bearish, you get to say, I'm right for a very, very, very short period of time, but you get to miss on all the upside returns. And I want to show you one example of that is this 𝗕𝗶𝘁𝗵. So 𝗕𝗶𝘁 was very, very, very good in the bear market. He called the market down and he was right for a very, very, very short period of time. Problem is that now for about a year, well, let's actually look at when Bitcoin started turning. Let's quickly go back to the Bitcoin BTC USD chart. And I remember when Bitcoin was at 15,200, 𝗕𝗶𝘁 was calling for Bitcoin to get to 12,000 and to 9,000. He was adamant. And that is when he and I were having some arguments on Twitter. That was the 27th of November, 2022. Now, he's missed out on 1 year of upside returns. Potentially, he's missed out on 106% on Bitcoin had he sold the top. Now, obviously, it's not realistic to think that he's actually going to sell the top. But just to give you an idea of like what he's missed out on. And even if you just take the returns up until now, 82% returns up until now. So he may be right he may have been right for a short period of time, but by not being able to pivot fast enough on an asset which is going up at this kind of pace, where the trend is to this kind of level, the problem is that if you keep calling that kind of asset down, you've got to be pinpoint accuracy. Whereas if you're a bull, your accuracy doesn't matter because the tide continues to take you up. And I think speaking about the tide is a very important discussion that we need to have specifically today, because you know that for me, the best measure of the tide when it comes to Bitcoin is actually the 200-week moving average, because that's the longest trend line that we actually have on Bitcoin, where normally that trend line has been positive. So let's go back to that 200-week moving average. And you can see right now that we are once again above the 200-week moving average right now on the daily. Now, we need to obviously remain above that. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, we actually closed on it. Or let's have a look here. So I think we actually closed on it yesterday. So let's quickly go to the weekly. Here it is. Sorry, these very, 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 yes. So you see, we closed above the 200-week moving average, which for me was one of the key points that I wanted to close above in order for me to believe that this rally was going to go up. So now we're above the 200-week moving average. This green candle is continuing to print above the 200-week moving average. And the trend is very, very, very much up. And I think the first thing that I wanted to show you guys is to say, look, if you believe in the asset and if you believe in the asset class, and you have patience. You don't have to use the money for anything else. Rather be bullish and be wrong for a short period of time than be bearish and be wrong. Because if you're bearish and you're wrong, you miss the downside and you miss the whole upside. If you're bullish and you're wrong, hold on for an extra month, hold on for an extra 2 months, and you actually, in the long term, net, what you get is you get the returns that look something like this. So that's the first lesson. The second thing is, because I was right and Ben was wrong, guys, I remember we had a deal let's all honor our side of the deal. I know some of you have already started to honor your side of the deal, but let's just remember what the deal was. You start to believe this narrative because Twitter people tell you that this is the narrative, and then you realize, oh shit, I got caught off guard. Prepare to be caught off guard, because the market never ever does what everyone expects it to do. And right now, everyone's written off September to be a bad September. I think the market's going to catch everybody by surprise. I think that we end September up. I don't know why. I don't know where the shock's going to come from, but I think we will end September in the green. I want you guys to take a screenshot. I'm gonna make it like that with my face. Okay, now. Okay,
don't forget this is your side of the deal now.
I'm gonna do the same. Oh, I can't take a screenshot. Can you guys take a screenshot? Good. So now, when at the end of September, when I'm right, okay, just tweet this screenshot. Okay, let me smile. Okay. Tweet the screenshot. Okay. So we agreed. And I know some of you have honored your deal. 𝗕𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗧, thank you very much. A few others have honored the deal, but the rest of you, I think we need to honor the deal. I said that I'm going to get it right. You guys will do it. So let's do it. All right. I think that we need to analyze this pump a bit further, because I think if you understand the pump, then you will understand whether or not this pump is going to last. So it's all very well looking at the numbers and going, okay, well, I think that this pump's going to last. But how many of you can hand on your heart say you really understand what caused this pump and you believe that this pump is going to continue? Because it's pointless just being a cheerleader and saying, yes, it will continue, it will continue, it will continue. But the question is, what is causing this pump? What is the root cause of this pump? And can the root cause of this pump actually continue to push this pump? Or will this pump fail like all the other pumps that we've had up until the beginning of, up until this period? So I think to do that, you really have to understand the pump. And that's what I want to spend some time looking at it. So let's look at where we're at. September closed up 4.02%. In October, we are already up 5%. October has been dubbed Uptober. And the reason why it's been dubbed Uptober is because October is the third best month overall for Bitcoin of all time. Okay, so November is actually, I think, better than October. Is it the second or the third? Okay, and April is actually a better month. So October is generally the best time for Bitcoin. Where does it get even more interesting is when you go to a pre-halving year and you say in a pre-halving year, if Bitcoin closes up in September, what happened in October, November, and December? Well, you can see in October, up 32.3%, in November, up 21.3%, and in December, 13%. So Bitcoin continued to go up 70%, 70%, in a pre-halving year where we closed up in September. So that's the first thing that we need to pay attention to. The next thing that we need to pay attention to is we've conquered the one big opponent that was stuck in our way. That one big opponent was the 200-week moving average. We're now above the 200-week moving average. I mean, you can say arguably we closed above it or on it. Maybe we just closed just under it yesterday. I don't know. I mean, it depends, I think, on which chart you're looking at. But for now, we have closed above this. Now, again, this is a very positive sign because it shows a momentum change. And I said to you, if we spend too much time under this 200-week moving average over here, then I'd be a little bit, that was one of my signs. I said to you, one, closing under the 200-week moving average. The second one was this this higher low. I said if we closed under this higher low and we printed a lower low, then I'd have to start asking some questions about the sustainability of this rally. The next thing is actually understanding what actually happened. When did this pump actually start? Why did the pump actually start? So we know that October is generally good. We know October is generally much better in a pre-halving year. We know that we've now crossed the 200-week moving average. That opponent is completely out the way. We also know a few other things. So we've got to look at all the inputs now. So we need to look at all the inputs now. So the first input is, let's look at where this came from. This pump started in Asia. So the bid that happened, this green candle that happened came during the Asia Open. So as soon as Asia opened, bang, we got this green candle. So chances are that this pump came either from Asia, or I'll show you another place where it came from in a second. The next thing that we're seeing is that this pump was actually driven by spot purchases and not leveraged purchases, which means that this is not a leveraged pump. This is people actually buying spot Bitcoin. Now, that brings me on to something which is very, very, very interesting. you can see that this tweet by James van Straten, he says, Bitcoin's open interest is a percentage of market cap collapsing and approaching year-to-date lows. What he means here is if you look at the leverage on Bitcoin, the percentage of leverage relative to the market cap of Bitcoin is at lows, which means that people are not speculating on Bitcoin. They're not coming here for the casino element of Bitcoin, but they're actually buying Bitcoin for what it is actually meant to be doing. So we're getting a very healthy shift. You remember we've spoken many times about the fact that the tokens or the coins, the Bitcoin coins, are moving into the hands of the long-term holders. And I think if I remember correctly, we're at the highest point ever of long-term holders, people who never sell their coins, actually holding the coins, right? So you can see that in the long-term stats now. Since the start of the year, open interest has fallen 28% and the price is up 70%. So the price is going up, but it's not going up on leverage. The price is actually going up on spot. When the price went up, we actually got some short liquidations and we got a whole lot of Bitcoin and ETH short liquidations, but not enough. This is not like one of those like capitulation moments. And the reason why it's not a capitulation moment is because there's actually not much leverage anymore. So that's where we're at. Now, some people believe, some of our researchers believe, that this pump was actually caused because of the US government shutdown. So the US government was threatening to shut down, remember that? And then in a last minute deal, they decided not to shut down. Okay, who in the chat is actually surprised about this? Who is surprised that they finally managed to get to some kind of agreement? I told you that was going to happen. They were going to push it to the last moment. They were going to campaign against each other till the last moment. And at the very, very, very last moment, what did they do? They reached an agreement so that the US government wouldn't shut down. And where are they now? They've got a 45-day stopgap. So again, they haven't resolved anything. They've just got another 45-day lifeline to carry on negotiating. And in the meantime, both parties scored a couple of goals. So you can hear it here.
I have very good news for the country. Democrats and Republicans have come to an agreement, and the government will remain open. We will have avoided a shutdown. Bipartisanship, which has been the trademark of the Senate, has prevailed, and the American people can breathe a sigh of relief. But this is a bridge CR, and Leader McConnell and I have agreed to continue fighting for more economic and security aid for Ukraine. We support Ukraine's efforts to defend its sovereignty against Putin's aggression. So thank you to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for their excellent work. The bipartisanship here in the Senate set the tone for today's result, and I hope it sets the tone.
So you could say that this was maybe as a result of the government shutdown, but I don't think so. The reason why we think it could have been as a result of the US government shutdown is because the futures market, as the futures market opened, I guess a whole lot of people were trying to close their shorts because there were a lot of shorts open because of the potential government shutdown. I think people shorted markets, and when they realized that there was no shutdown, they had to unwind the short. So you would have got a mini short squeeze in the futures market. So you can see that Bitcoin futures contracts trade Sunday through Friday, Sunday 5 o'clock. Now let's look at when this pump actually happened. So let's go to the 1 hour. You can see it over here. That is about Sunday 5 o'clock. And then you got that green candle. So this could be because of the US government shutdown, which was actually averted. Now, I just want to say one thing about this US government shutdown. Yes, they averted the government shutdown at the last moment. Congratulations. Congratulations to all the US people. You must be very relieved. What the US senators don't realize that they're doing, what the US Congress don't realize that they're actually doing, they are embarrassing themselves. They are embarrassing the whole country. They're causing damage to the whole country because the rating agencies and the other countries who are investors in US T-bills and US treasuries and stuff like that, they're looking at this and they're going, what a fucking joke. Honestly, what a joke you guys are doing. It's like two parents fighting in a divorce, right? Now, they know that they're going to look after the baby, but they fight and they take their fight publicly. And they try and score points. What they don't realize is that they're actually doing long-term damage to the baby, which in this case is the markets. And I think it's actually getting embarrassing. I actually think it's really getting embarrassing now. We'll watch. I've got an embarrassing video clip which we can watch towards the end of the segment. Okay, so that's where we are now. That's potentially why the pump happened. It's a spot-driven pump. It started in Asia. It could have started because the CME people had to quickly close all the shorts that they had because the government shutdown was actually averted. So where are we now? We are about here. We are about here. And most people don't actually believe this pump. And remember what I said to you at the beginning of September. At the beginning of September, I said to you, most people believe the market is going to go down. Therefore, I think the market turns around. I'm telling you guys again, most people don't believe this pump. What happens when people don't believe this pump? You know what's going to happen. The market's going to shock everybody. It's going to melt everybody's faces. It's going to destroy everybody. It's going to make them go short. I am in this school of thought. I'm in the school of thought that we're 25% of the way through a bull market. So we are really in the early stages of a bull market. Maybe we're not in a raging bull at the moment, but we're definitely in the early stages of a bull market. You can't deny that. When you look at this asset, and let's just go into the weekly just to make it simple for us, and you say, okay, where did we start 2023? We started 2023 in November, December, Jan. We started 2023 at $16,000. We are now at 74% up, 80% up. You can't say that's not a bull market. Sorry, you can't say that's not a bull market. So that has to be, you have to say we are in a bull market. And I think that I am of the opinion, or I am of the school of thought, that we are 25% the way in a bull market. Now, if we are 25% of the way inside the bull market, the good news is, hear me out here. The good news is that you still have time to place your bets because you've still got the majority of the bull market ahead of you. And also what we know is that the last part of the bull market is the most important part of the bull market. Generally, if you miss the beginning of the bull market, it doesn't really matter because that's when people don't believe the bull market. And then the bull market gets more and more and more heated. And as the bull market gets more and more and more heated, what happens? We go higher and higher and higher, faster and faster and faster. So if you've missed the first 25%, if this theory is right, and you have missed the first 25% of the bull market, it's cool. Because the next part of the bull market is the part that's going to be much more vicious. That's the part that you really want to have your bets placed on the right numbers, right? The beginning part of it, okay, cool. So you missed Solana from, I don't know, 15 to, I don't know what the number is today, $24. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. You missed Bitcoin from $15,000 and you wouldn't have caught the bottom. So let's say you missed Bitcoin from $18,000 and you missed it to $28,000. That's not a problem. If Bitcoin goes to $100,000, you still have 75% of the bull market to actually place your bets. What you want to avoid is being like these guys over here. I read this article today. It made me think. It says, Wall Street comes to grips with how wrong it's been in 2023. Some strategists lift 2023 calls remain bears for the next year. Investors' quandary is whether the pessimists are still wrong. So what you're getting here is you're getting a whole lot of analysts who have, I mean, let's look at what they've missed. Let's just quickly take what they've missed here. So let's go to the NASDAQ and let's look at the NASDAQ. And we can see that, and again, remember, this is not crypto. This is like a NASDAQ. Some people missed a 41% rally in the NASDAQ. Crazy. Imagine missing a 41% rally in the NASDAQ. And now you're sitting there and you're still contemplating whether we're in a bull market or not. Okay? You don't want to be like these people. It's very, very, very important that when it's a bull market, you identify it early enough. And if you're wrong, as I said to you, if you're slightly wrong, because the long-term trend of markets is always up, because we're in a high growth industry, it's inevitable that unless this whole thing fails, the markets continue to go up. And so rather be slightly early and hold on for slightly longer and take a little bit of pain, then come in at the end and say, I still don't believe this. I still don't believe the market. I still don't believe the market. I still don't believe the market. Because you know what happens to those people? What happens to those people is that they land up buying somewhere over here. And then they only enjoy this much of the ride. And the problem is that when that happens, they get flashed out very quickly. Whereas if you get in somewhere here, or even here, you've still got the whole road up. So you've got to really zoom, you've got to really step back now and say, hold on, what is my long-term expectation here? When I say long-term, I don't mean the next 10 years. What's your next 3-year time horizon? Oh, is the next 3-year time horizon for you up? And when I say that, I don't mean only on Bitcoin. I mean on Solana, on Ethereum, on many of the other assets. What is your long-term thesis here? If your long-term thesis is that we're going to go up, rather get in early and be a little bit wrong and take some pain than get in too late and miss the aggression of the run. Because I know a lot of people that have been going since $15,000 and they've been waiting for the $12,000. Here is just one of those examples. 𝗕𝗶𝘁 is still causing it right. He says, if you analyze the nature of the pumps, they're always the same players, same fake demand, same PA. He keeps saying the same thing. In the meantime, he's the only one, well, not the only one, but there's been many others, but ultimately all of them are completely wrong. And if we are right about this bull market, the next thing that we're going to need to watch out for, because we got in early, our only decision is when to get out. For those that are not in yet or have been waiting, they are thinking about when to get in. We're already one step ahead of those guys that are thinking when to get in. We are thinking about our exits. And our exit is going to be when the market hits the blow-off top. And I think one of the things that will tell us when the market is going to be at a blow-off top is we will start looking for the things that the exuberance, the meme coin pumps, the people investing into thin air, that will be our signal that it's time to get out. So as I say, there's two kinds of people in the room right now. There's those that are wondering when to get in, and there's those that are wondering when to get out. If you haven't already come up into the side of the people that actually are wondering when to get out, you may be okay, because you may be 25% of the way into the bull market, which means you still got 75% to go. But the longer you wait, the longer you wait, the more chance that you're going to miss more and more and more of the bull market. And hey, if I'm wrong, who cares? We'll just hold our investments for a little bit longer. Because ultimately, as a gentle reminder, this is the asset class that we're dealing with. It's had a 9 million% return in the last 10 years. Okay, so you may call it wrong by a month or 2 months or 3 months, so we may sit here and argue on Twitter. But ultimately, that's the bottom line here. That's ultimately, that's the bottom line. Now, so that's the first thing that I wanted to drive into you guys to say, look, number one, rather be in and wrong in terms of time than out and wrong in terms of time, because the asset class is on an upward trend and time will forgive you. If you miss it, time will not forgive you. The second thing that we need to make sure that we don't do during this pump is have what I call location bias. Most of you guys, most of us are consume content that is centric to the West, right? So we're consuming content made by Europeans, made by Americans. We're consuming content on YouTube, which is a very much an American platform, believe it or not. Okay, and they're going to ban me again. We're always contending with shadow bans. Remember that you got to be able to sway your biases. Now, when I say sway your biases, you have to be very, 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 very careful that you don't get caught into the bias of the East and the West, because we are dealing with a truly global asset class, right? I see my forehead shining. It's even bright for me, James. These lights are so bright. So we are dealing with the world's only truly liquid global asset class, which is crypto. There's no other asset class in the world that is so easily tradable by so many people all around the world. That's one of the big revolutions here when it comes to crypto. The problem is that up until now, we are used to consuming our content from various media channels. And those media channels are usually centric to the West. Okay, even this is slightly more a West-centric media channel. Even though I make a concerted effort to follow the East, to go to the conferences in the East, to bring you coverage from the East, ultimately, my worldview is very, very, very much an Eastern, a Western worldview. Let's look at what's actually happening in the West. In the West, people are tightening. There's an inflation problem. There's money going out of circulation. Let's quickly shift our attention to the East, where we think this pump started in the East. Let's quickly look here. So, global liquidity is down, no doubt about that. But China central bank continues to stimulate. They are now stimulating at the same rate that they were stimulating during COVID. So more money coming in Asia. Okay, cool. So maybe a lot of money is not coming in the West. But in Asia, which is the hub for crypto, more money, is coming into the economy. I read the minutes of the Japanese central bank minutes. What are they doing? They are buying more bonds. They're putting more money into circulation. Okay, crazy that they're buying bonds at a rate never ever seen before. They've never ever bought so many bonds. To the point, get this, to the point where the Bank of Japan holds 47% of all outstanding government debt. Okay, let's just understand something. The Bank of Japan is holding it, well, I mean, you can say the Bank of Japan is independent, but it's not. It's a government organization. The Bank of Japan holds 47% of the debt that the government of Japan created. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, right? It's a factor. I checked it. I checked this. The Bank of Japan holds 47% of all the government debt. And what are they doing? They're continuing to buy government debt. They announce additional bond buying. What does it mean when a government buys bonds? They put more money into circulation. They just keep putting more and more money into circulation. So don't get caught in this bias of thinking that all the negative news that you hear about the West and the US is actually what's going on, because that's not actually what's going on. What's going on is that in Asia, where the majority of crypto trading actually takes place, where the majority of crypto regulation has already been put into place, where the majority of the degens live, they are printing money. There is more liquidity happening there. Now look, the fact that there is more money being printed there, bad, really, really, really bad. Why is it so bad? Because the Japanese economy at some point is going to have to collapse. The Chinese economy, they're going to keep trying to stimulate and trying to kickstart the economy. But until then, the music is pumping. And when the music is pumping, I told you guys, we got to dance. We can't sit on the sideline and say, oh, Japan's going to collapse. Japan's going to collapse. Right now, Japan's printing money. They may collapse in the future. I know that. But right now, they're printing money. The music's on. We got to dance. Finished. That's just the way it is. Anyway, that was the point. Just don't have the bias, and then make sure that you believe the pump early enough, because don't try and be the tourists that catch the bus on the last section. Another thing which may have caused the pump is, or a part of the pump is, that we now have the approval of ETH futures ETFs, guys. So look, it's not the most bullish thing in the world, because ETH futures ETFs don't actually mean that people have to buy ETH futures. But now there's an ETF which allows people to buy ETH futures. And what it means is just that more people are understanding ETH, more people are learning about ETH. Doesn't affect the price because not many people are buying ETH. But what we are seeing here is we've seen that they are creating, I saw an ad that Van Eck made. I thought, okay, here it is. Have a look at this ad.
Just close your eyes to enter the ether. The ether is within you. Prepare to of Ethereum. Now finally in an ETF form. Coming soon.
I don't understand the GOAT, but I hope that they mean that that Ethereum is the GOAT. Anyway, so there is the ETH futures ETF. A lot of people said that's maybe why we got a bit of a pump today. It's great. It's not a big thing because they're not actually really buying ETH. I'm looking at the ETH Bitcoin chart. That chart's not looking so good. Like, it keeps printing lower lows. At some point, I think this chart's going to have to turn, because I think that's what's normally happens. But for now, the ETH BTC chart not looking fantastic. One chart that actually is looking fantastic is the Sol ETH. Now, if we look at Solana had a great pump over the weekend. I'm very long Solana, so for me this was really nice. Like, I enjoyed this. And I know Sheldon's also long. So 23.90. It was as high as 24.15. I think watch out, because now everyone's starting to believe the Solana pump. Remember, you've got the Solana DevCon breakpoint, which is happening in Amsterdam, 30th October to 3rd November. Obviously, I'll be there. Bring you crypto love and crypto wisdom. Remember also here that peak FUD was the big opportunity here. So peak FUD was the actual opportunity here. So you had, when they spoke about the liquidators starting to liquidate all the Solana, that was like the big opportunity here. Every single time that we get this, every single time that we get peak FUD, that has turned out to be the best time to buy. That's pretty much turned out to be the best time to buy. I think Solana will continue to pump. Why? Because number one, its fundamentals are good. Let's try and log in here quickly. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it's not logging in. Oof, very, very, very slow site. Okay, well, we'll look at the fundamentals. We'll look at the metrics. But from a metrics point of view, Solana, very, very good. You've also got, it says Solana, the uptime for Solana has been kind of back to where it's been. Also, remember to look at render, because at the 𝗨𝗵𝗃𝗵, at the breakpoint, we could actually get an announcement or a series of announcements from render, because that's what happened. That's what happened last time. So that's what we're going to look at. I reminded that last year when we went to Solana breakpoint, we had on the last day of Solana breakpoint, we had FTX collapse. I don't know if you remember. I remember very clearly because I was there, and I remember dancing at the Solana closing party, and at the same time looking at my phone. And while I was looking at my phone, I remember thinking to myself, "Holy shit, the whole world is collapsing. Is this the ending, the closing party for the Solana breakpoint, or is this the closing party for actually for Solana?" Because that was when SBF actually collapsed everything. Anyway, the good thing is the trial starts. The jury selection starts on October 3rd. So I think we're going to have a lot of content from this trial. And then he's going to be in court. I was looking at Martin Shkreli's thing. He says, if for Sam's jury selection, he wants the ideal jury is 8 to 4 men, younger, white collar, as many black, then Hispanic, then white, then Asian jurors. You'll want women on the jury to be older, ideally grandmothers, middle-aged women, to see him as a cheating scumbag instead of a swashbuckling entrepreneur. You want Republicans, which are hard to find in Manhattan. You want white-collar, blue-collar, convict, and privileged kids immediately. And he breaks down the thing, and he says, mainly, Sam, actually, what you need is good luck. Guys, remember, we've got about 3 minutes left. If we get to 1,500 likes, we're going to take a trade in the Bitget trading competition. All right, so another thing. So SBF trial starts on the 3rd. That's the jury selection starts on the 3rd. So we're going to be covering that for you guys live. Even if we need to set up like a channel to specifically go through it, like the Johnny Depp story, we're going to do that. The next thing is 𝗏𝗏. So he was arrested in Singapore. And the reason why he was arrested in Singapore was because he wasn't complying with the liquidator of 3 Arrows Capital. So he went to Singapore, went to have dinner in Singapore. And on the way back, while he was leaving the airport, he gets arrested for up to 4 months. So it's not as far as I understand, it's not a 4 months imprisonment. It's a up to 4 months. The reason is that he wasn't cooperating with the regulators. Now, with the liquidators. Now, here's the trade here. I'm not telling you to take the trade. I'm just telling you, look, the price of open exchange went down quite a bit when this happened. He's not arrested for fraud. He's just arrested for not complying with not assisting the liquidators. So what we're looking for here is at some point he's going to get released. When he complies with all the stuff that the liquidators want, he's going to get released. And then I think the price of OpenX is going to go up again. I'm not a prophet, but I do think that that's the logic that's going to make sense here. So keep your eyes open. I'm not telling you to take the trade. I'm telling you just to keep your eyes open. If that is a trade that potentially you want to take. Another trade that you may want to take is Chainlink, because they're having their what's it called, SmartCon. So I think it's like the LinkCon. So that's another one. I don't actually feel like talking about Ben and the fact that I made him an offer around his watch. I said, look, Ben, if you want to sell your watch, I'll buy it from you. I'll keep it for you for 5 years. You can buy it back from me at the same price at any point in time in the 5 years, and I'll never wear it. But it looks like he is going out there and he is trying to raise money. Another one that I'm watching is Arbitrum. So I do think that Arbitrum may actually explode next. 97. I think it's going to go over the $1 very, very, very soon. So keep your eyes open for that. Keep your eyes open for that. All right. Do we have 1,500 likes? 1,100. That means that we're not going to trade in the competition. I do want to actually take a trade. Before I take a trade, I want to show you something amazing. So hear me out here. Something absolutely, absolutely amazing. We have a team of researchers. The team of researchers is about 40 people. We told you that if you go to Banter and you go to the newsroom, you can see what our researchers are actually posting on a real-time basis, live real-time basis. And we built it in such a way that you could look at it next to the bubbles. So the idea was that you could look here, and you could see what's happening on the news and how it's affecting the bubbles. And you could even go down to a 5-minute time frame, watch the news tick, and then as you're watching the news tick, you can see what the bubbles are doing. Now we've taken it even one step further. So every day before the show, I get a bunch of show notes. Okay, it is what I base the show up on, and this is literally the format that I actually get it in. So this is what I get from my researchers every single day while I'm preparing for a show. You guys can get the same. You guys can now get the same the same newsletter sent directly to your mailbox. There is a link below. Go to the link below. Let me help you just to show you where the link is. I really hope there's a link below, because otherwise it'll be very sad for Josh and them. Okay, so we go to the link below, and down. Oh my God! Please tell me that I'm going to be able to find this. Where's it, Josh? What are you looking for? The link to the new Substack, oh my goodness, you guys are like rookies. Sure. Okay, let's put the link in there. And if you guys want to subscribe to the Run Show Notes Substack, then you guys can subscribe to our new newsletter, which is the Run Show Host Substack, which is literally how I get my research every single day. Now you can have the same research that I've got every single day, and you can decide, you can see how I build the shows and everything else. All right, what else is there? So we see 1,202 likes. Do I take the trade in the Bitget trading competition right now? I think you can see what the trade is that I want to take. I want to take a Doge long. Reason why I want to take a Doge long is because Bitcoin has moved, Solana has moved, a whole lot of tokens have moved, but the one that hasn't really moved is Doge. Now you can see, if you look at Doge, if you look at Doge and you look at where Doge is from a price point of view, you can see that like the lowest that Doge usually goes is like 5.5 cents. That very rarely goes under 5.5 cents. It's now trading at 6.34. You can also see that when the market pumps, Doge is one of the first tokens to actually pump. So for me, I've taken a Doge long, or I want to take a Doge long. I'm only going to take it if we get to 1,500. In fact, no, why must I base my chances of winning? I'm taking it right now, actually. Okay, I have leverage in this account. Let me take 500,000 Doges, 500 million Doges. 500. Hold on a second. There's a lot of zeros to this thing. Okay, let's go. 500. Okay. That's 500 million. Okay, let's go long at this price. Confirm. I'm now officially in the Bitget. The number of orders should not exceed the limit on the corresponding level. Come on. Okay, well, I'm going to take this long. Quantity 50 million Doge. Oh, margin at sure, look at that. I nearly hit the wrong number there. Can you believe that? Imagine that would have happened. I would have been livid. Okay, let's go. Bang. Okay, I'm now. Bing, I'm now 20x. Holy shit! I wanted to go 10x. Okay, but I'm in for 20x then. Yo, that was very bad. I actually wanted to be in 10x. I should have gone into the leverage. Let's adjust the leverage. Hold on a second. That's much better. Nah, 10x long. Okay, well, for now, I'm long 20x. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.